The most painful and confusing experience I have ever had.
Welcome. My name is Ben Easley, and I'm the Director of Product Strategy and Analytics at Mogo Arts Marketing and Mogo Interactive. Today, we're going to show you how to track SoundCloud plays in Google Analytics. So I would say if you have any sort of embeddable media on your website, whether that's a YouTube video, maybe a Vimeo video, or a SoundCloud clip, you should definitely be tracking that inside of Google Analytics. And the reason you want to track that is if you're going to spend the time to curate and upload that content and then embed it on your website, you want to know if it's driving a positive economic value, or in layman's terms, what is the ROI of those users that are engaging with these embeddable files. And Google Analytics is really a great platform to dive into that type of analysis. But for today's video, we're going to focus on the how-to of getting you tracking inside of Google Analytics. So the idea is if you have an embedded YouTube, or I should say an embedded SoundCloud clip, when users play a SoundCloud clip, you want to be able to track that. So we're going to use this as kind of our demo page here, and let me show you an example. This is what it's going to look like once you get it set up and tracking. So if you go to your events page, SoundCloud will come through as an event category, and then you could drill into that to see how many people have played videos, or how many times a video has been played, paused, how many times somebody's reached 50% duration, 3/4, 25%, 100%. We can also go to the event label to see which SoundCloud clips are being played. And if you built a custom report, you could then start to see the plays associated with each one of these videos here. Unfortunately, the way that Google Analytics has organized their events report, it doesn't really allow you to drill into that. The good news is it's very easy to create those custom reports. Alrighty, so our setup involves Google Tag Manager. If you don't have Google Tag Manager installed on your website, you need to install it like yesterday. It's a really awesome tool. Get your IT department involved in this process. They're going to love you for installing GTM. It just makes their job so much easier. So we're going to assume that you have Google Tag Manager installed on your website because this implementation does use Google Tag Manager. And I should also give credit to Simo Ahava. He's the one who wrote the code that took advantage of SoundCloud's API to do all of this tracking. So he's a really great resource. Check out his blog and website if you haven't done so. All right, so our first step is going to be to go over to Google Tag Manager, and we are going to need to create a custom trigger. So this is our first step. And so we go to our container, and we go to triggers, and we're hit new. And let's see what we're going to name this. It's going to be the page view DOM ready, and this is how we're going to implement it right here. So we'll just call it this. DOM ready, all DOM ready events. That's all you need to do in the first step of the process. We'll hit save. And then our next step is we are going to grab some custom code that we have on our blog post. And so now we're going to create a new tag. So we'll go over here, and you want to come down to custom HTML. We're going to paste our code in there. And let's see what we're going to name this tag. It's going to be SoundCloud HTML listener. So what this tag is doing is looking for when there is a SoundCloud file on the page. And then the trigger is going to be the one that we just created, that DOM ready page view. So page view DOM ready. Alrighty, cool. So we've got that created. Let's go over to our reference over here. Now we need to create some triggers. All right. So we'll just call this a event SC event. That's what we're going to call it. Event SC event. Alrighty, so back into Google Tag Manager, and we're going to go back to triggers. We're going to hit new one. Well, we're going to try to hit new, and we're going to name this one this. And let's see, it is a custom event, and it references the event name SC event. Okay, and we'll save it. All right, now we need to set up our data layer variables. Okay, cool. This is very easy to do. We're going to go back over here. We're going to go to data layer. We're going to say we're going to go to variables. Then we're going to go to config. We're going to scroll down to user defined variables, and we are going to create some of our own. So let's see, DLV event category. Let me just make sure these aren't in here already, and indeed they're not. We're doing some other stuff for Vimeo, it looks like. Okay, and then let's see what we're going to set this up as. So data layer variable, and event category. All right, I'm just going to copy this to make the rest of this a lot easier, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So now we also need to create it for event action and event label. So we'll do that right now. Data layer variable. And we'll do our last one. And this is going to be event label. Like the others, it is okay. So now we've got our data layer variable set up. Now we need to create the actual event tag that we're going to use to capture all this data. Okay, so we're going to jump back over here, and we're going to go to tags. We'll hit new. And what are we going to call this? I'm going to use our custom code. Okay, so this just tells us an event, and it's for SoundCloud. So we're going to track. Hopefully you're on Universal Analytics. If you're on Classic, you need to select Classic. And so this isn't going to be a page view. It's going to be an event. And you would either add your tracking ID in there. I've already saved it in a variable, but you could very easily add in the the UA dash whatever, but I have this saved already, so it just makes it easier so I don't have to remember it every single time. Here it is. It's under GAID event. All right, so this is where we're going to grab our. Now I've created multiple data layer variables in here, so I need to make sure I grab the right one. So we want the data layer category is going to go there. And then we're going to grab the action. And then we'll grab the label. Typically, you don't need to worry about value. You may utilize that. Okay. And then the triggering. So what's our triggering going to be set to? Triggering is going to be the event SoundCloud EV. So that's really easy. That's really to do. Ours is named slightly different. Remember, this is the custom tag that we set up. So there it is. There's event SC event. Alrighty. And that is it. I'm actually going to publish it because I've gone through this multiple times before, and I'm going to show you it in action here in a second. All right. And then next what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our workspace. I'm going to hit preview. And this will allow us to go to the Mogo Arts website, and I'll show you. We should see a little preview screen pop up down at the bottom now that I'm in preview mode. And there it is. So this shows up down here, Google Tag Manager. And so let's see. So you noticed I clicked that, and look, we have a custom event that was fired on this page. If we open this up, and we see a play event action was sent. And then on this one, I would expect that we'll see a pause. And indeed we do. And we can also verify this over, let's see, we can also verify this, make sure I'm in the right one. Go to real time, events, and boom, there they are. There's our SoundCloud play and our SoundCloud pause. So we are good to go. So I think we did this in about 10 minutes. Super easy to do. You don't need to know code or anything like that. Everything is already built for you. Just follow the steps. And as I mentioned before, you can also go to Simo Ahava's website. He's a great resource for these kinds of setups. We borrowed all of this setup from him, so we'd like to thank him. But we hope you get up and tracking on SoundCloud as soon as possible. And please join us next time for technical tips. Thanks.
The most painful and confusing experience I've ever had.